It was just another quiet evening on a tree-lined street in suburban Virginia when a set of flashing red and blue lights shattered the calm. The man behind the wheel of the sleek black sedan wasn't speeding, hadn't run a stop sign, and certainly didn't fit the profile of a suspect. But as he rolled down his window, hands visibly gripping the steering wheel, the police officer's flashlight beam landed on a face that would send shockwaves through the nation. "Step out of the vehicle, slowly," the officer barked, his voice tight with tension. The driver complied, his tailored suit and steady demeanor doing little to ease the situation. Because this wasn't just any man. This was Christopher Wray, director of the FBI, staring down the barrel of a gun held by one of his own. Meanwhile, 300 miles north, in the cramped subway cars of New York City, a different kind of tension simmered. Jamal Thompson, a 17-year-old high school senior, shifted uncomfortably in his seat as the train rattled through the tunnel. His earbuds blasted hip-hop, drowning out the chaos of rush hour, until a woman's strained voice cut through the noise. "Excuse me," she panted, one hand gripping a pole, the other cradling her swollen belly. Without hesitation, Jamal stood, offering his seat. The woman, pale, sweaty, her wedding ring glinting under the fluorescent lights, nodded gratitude, but said nothing. Not until hours later when she'd slip him a folded note at his bus stop, her eyes brimming with something between guilt and hope. "Read this when you're alone," she'd whisper, vanishing into the crowd. Back in Virginia, the standoff escalated. Officer Daniel Riggs, a 12-year veteran with a spotless record, kept his Glock trained on Ray's chest, unaware of the storm about to erupt. A routine traffic stop? Not even close. By sunrise, Riggs would be in handcuffs, his career in ruins, while Ray's security detail scrambled to contain a PR nightmare. But why would an officer risk everything to pull over? The head of the FBI. Was it a misunderstanding or something darker? And what about that note? Jamal would unfold it later in his dimly lit bedroom, his heart pounding as he scanned the shaky handwriting. "You saved my life today. But what I'm about to tell you could end yours. They're watching. Don't trust the police. Don't trust anyone." Beneath the words, a phone number, a date, and a single name, Christopher Wray, 2 stories. 2 worlds colliding. One thread connecting them all. By morning, Jamal would make a call that would drag him into a labyrinth of secrets, where the line between hero and target blurred. And as for Director Wray, he'd sit in his office staring at a file stamped classified, realizing the traffic stop was no accident. It was a warning. Someone wanted him to back off. Someone who knew how to hit close to home. But why target a teenager from the Bronx? What could a pregnant woman from the Upper East Side possibly know about the FBI's most guarded operations? And as the clock ticks down, one question hangs heavy in the air. Whose side are the good guys really on? The subway's screech echoed in Jamal's ears long after he'd gotten home. He sat on the edge of his bed, the note trembling in his hands. "Don't trust the police. Don't trust anyone." His mom's laughter drifted in from the living room, where she watched a sitcom, oblivious. Jamal stared at the phone number scrawled at the bottom. Area code 202, Washington, D.C. He'd Googled the name, Christopher Wray, on the bus, his stomach dropping as headlines about the FBI director's eye. Close call with police flooded his screen. None of it made sense. Why would a pregnant stranger link him to the most powerful lawman in the country? He dialed the number. 3 rings. A click. Then silence. "Shh, hello?" Jamal whispered, his throat dry. A woman's voice, sharp but hushed, like she was hiding. "You shouldn't have called from your own phone." The line went dead. Across town, in a sterile apartment overlooking the Hudson River, Emily Carter pressed her back against the kitchen wall, her unborn daughter kicking fiercely. She'd promised herself she wouldn't involve the kid. But when Jamal stood up on that train, so fast, like his body moved before his brain, she'd seen a flicker of her younger brother in him. The brother who'd disappeared 6 months, to go after texting her a single word: run. Now her hands shook as she ripped the SIM card from her burner phone. They'd traced the call, They always did. She glanced at the boarded-up window. A gas leak had blown out the glass last week, and wondered how much time she had left. In Virginia, Director Ray's morning began with a bitter cup of black, coffee, and a classified file thicker than his fist. The photo on top showed Officer Daniel Riggs, the man who'd pointed a gun at him, smirking in a bar beside a face Ray recognized instantly. Marcus Cole, a former FBI tech analyst fired 2 years ago for hacking into restricted databases. Cole had vanished shortly after, his trail ice cold. Until now. Ray's deputy, Lisa Nguyen, leaned against his desk, her voice low. Riggs' bank records show a $50,000 deposit last month. Untraceable offshore account. Cole's fingerprints. We're all over the encryption. And the squad car's dash cam? Ray asked, though he already knew the answer. Conveniently malfunctioned. Nguyen hesitated. Sir, Riggs kept shouting, "You know what you did," during the arrest. Any chance this is about the Orion project? Ray's jaw tightened. Orion, the FBI's AI surveillance initiative. So controversial even Congress didn't know its full scope. Cole had worked on it before his termination, before he'd started digging into things he shouldn't have. Keep this quiet, Ray said, shutting the file, and pull every string to find Cole. Jamal didn't sleep. By dawn, he'd memorized the notes every curve. They're watching. His eyes darted to the street below his Bronx apartment. A gray sedan idled near. The bodega, same one he'd seen yesterday. Coincidence? Paranoia gnawed at him as he grabbed his backpack. School felt absurd now, but skipping would make his mom ask questions. The subway platform was packed, the air thick with sweat and perfume. Jamal hovered near a pillar, scanning the crowd. That's when he spotted her, the pregnant woman, Emily, standing by the tracks in oversized sunglasses. Their eyes met. She shook her head almost imperceptibly and mouthed, "Not here." As the train roared in, she let herself be swallowed by the crowd. Officer Riggs's jail cell stank of bleach and regret. His lawyer, a slick-suited man who smelled like expensive cologne, slid a folded napkin through the bars. Riggs unfolded it to find a single typed sentence. Silence keeps your daughter safe. He crushed the napkin, his mind flashing to last week's school field trip his 8-year-old had never mentioned. The black van parked outside her ballet class. The rules were clear. He'd taken the money. Now he'd take the fall. Jamal's phone buzzed during third-period algebra. Unknown number. A text. Library. Now. Burner phones aisle. He ducked out, heart hammering, and found a cheap flip phone taped beneath a shelf. It rang as he picked it up. Listen carefully, Emily's voice hissed. They're using Orion to track dissenters. Your face got flagged when you helped me. I'm sorry. Who's they? Jamal whispered. A pause. People who think a black kid from the Bronx makes the perfect patsy. Before he could respond, she added, There's a locker at Penn Station, combination 361284. Take what's inside and run. The line died. When Jamal tried calling back, the number was disconnected. Nguyen's knock made Ray jump. Cole's been spotted, she said, holding up a grainy ATM photo. Upstate New York 2 days ago. And get this. He withdrew cash beside a woman matching Emily Carter's description. The same Emily Carter who reported her brother missing in January. Ray's landline rang. A voice, distorted, mechanical. Call off Orion, Director, or the next traffic stop ends with a coffin. Penn Station buzzed with tourists and commuters. Jamal stood frozen in front of locker 217, the combination burning in his mind. 361284. The metal door creaked open. Inside, a thumb drive, a wad of cash, and a newspaper clipping from 1992. His breath caught. The headline screamed, Local. Din killed an FBI drug sting gone wrong. Above a photo of a boy who looked just like him, his father. A hand grabbed his shoulder. Jamal spun to face a tall man in a trench coat, his badge glinting. FBI, you need to come with us, son. Somewhere in the crowd, Emily watched, tears streaming behind her sunglasses as agents led Jamal away. She pressed a hand to her belly. I'm so sorry, she whispered to no one. Ray's screen lit up with an alert. Orion had flagged a potential threat at Penn Station. Facial recognition ID'd Jamal Thompson, 17, no record, son of Raymond Thompson, an innocent bystander, killed in Ray's first field operation 3 decades ago. The file included a recent photo of Jamal, sitting on the subway next to Emily Carter. His office door burst open. Nguyen stood pale, her phone shaking in her hand. "Sir, the NYPD just picked up Thompson, but here's the thing. We didn't send them."